Dream Warrior is a combination of Dragon Quest and Faster Than Light. It's a pretty unique combination of a roguelike and a turn-based RPG. It isn't a difficult game at all, and there's quite a bit of replay value as you can unlock more classes the more you beat the game. The story is pretty awesome. It's kind of like an introduction or a version of the intro for Dragon Quest. It's pretty great. The story is very simple. There are no side quests in it. There's no dungeons to explore. The only thing you have to do is follow a path. It can branch in one of 3 different directions. So there's not as much variety as there is in Faster Than Light, but it's still a pretty fun game to play. You play as a drunk, and the type of alcohol that you drink determines the character class that you are. That's pretty awesome. You're told right off the bat that the Demon Lord is going to take over the world, and because you seemingly don't have anything better to do, you set out on a quest to defeat him. Along the way, you encounter someone who explains the story to you, or at least gives you all the exposition that you're going to need. And if you don't feel like listening to him, you can kill him. So that's kind of interesting. If you kill him, you get an item. If you listen to him when he gives you 3 different blobs of exposition, then you get another item. That one's a little bit more helpful. The ending is pretty awesome. You end up defeating the Demon Lord, which obviously you need to do in order to beat the game. And you get told that this is all just a drunken dream, that you didn't actually defeat anyone, and you're just still laying on the floor, hungover or drunk in your house. That's kind of disappointing, isn't it? But it's pretty hilarious once you really get into everything. So, at the end, you find out you're getting evicted because you're just a loser drunk who's hanging out in his house, and you had this weird psychotic dream. It's really funny, and it makes me think you're just wandering around the town beating the shit out of people. You're probably not, but that's just what I was thinking of when I was playing this. You also get told that your nephew ends up defeating the Demon Lord and winning, so that's kind of funny. It really does feel like, this is happening alongside the original Dragon Quest. Like, the hero is out doing all the stuff that he needs to do in that, and then his uncle is just at home getting smashed on whatever alcohol he just happens to have laying around. The gameplay is also very simple, and it's also a lot of fun. You move across the map like FTL, but it's a much simpler version because you don't have as many possible paths to follow. You also don't have the 2 maps like you do in FTL either. The combat is all turn-based, so that's pretty cool. Most of the game mechanics should be familiar to pretty much anyone who's played a turn-based RPG. So if you've played, the original Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy or really any turn-based RPG, you'll have a pretty good idea of what's happening. You only have 1 member in your party, so it's very much like the original Dragon Quest. There's 7 possible character classes to choose from. You unlock more just the more times you beat the game. The only one I haven't unlocked yet is the straight edge one, where you do not play as a drunk. You play as somebody who just guzzles water. Anyway, the classes are, if you drink beer, you're a warrior. If you drink wine, you're a cleric. You can also be a monk, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that type of alcohol. If you drink absinthe, then you are a goth. I think it's supposed to be a barbarian or a berserker. It's my favorite class in the game, though. I just really love it. If you drink whiskey, you play as a wizard. And if you drink grog, then you play as a drunk. Each one has their own abilities, their own weapons that they can equip. If you pick a class, then it seems like all of the shops are set up to give you the equipment that you need. It's pretty great the way that they did that, so you don't have to go to a shop and then, hey, here's all the warrior equipment, but you're playing as a wizard, so you can't equip any of it. It's pretty nice that the developer did that. While traveling to the Demon Lord, you'll encounter a few different things. These can be battles, towns, inns. It's pretty interesting to see. If you encounter an inn, then you stay there and you recover your hit points and your magic points. The shops kind of all get lumped together, so your item, weapon, and armor shops are all one. You also can run into a goblin merchant. These are kind of random encounters, and he kind of helps. I don't really like the goblin merchant that much. He often has a bunch of shit that you don't need. At least in my opinion, you don't need it. You can run into a lady in the lake, and if you throw enough weapons into the lake, then she'll give you a reward of one of a few different weapons. It's kind of interesting to see that. I should also point out that if you don't know what an item does, or if you can equip it, you can always click on it, and then it will give up a little description of what that item is and who can use it. So that's kind of wonderful. You also will encounter a specter. This is kind of a cool encounter. They'll give you a few options here. They let you, they'll give you a blessing, they will give you wealth, or they will heal you. And that's pretty awesome. The blessings I didn't find them all that useful, but I really didn't mess around with them too much while I was playing this. You'll then run into like an easy encounter, a regular encounter, or a difficult battle. And you can see these just based on the colors that they are. The easy battle will have a blue skull, regular battle is a white skull, and then the tough battle is a red skull. You'll also run into a beggar. I have no idea what his purpose is. I just haven't figured it out yet. I don't know. He just asks you for a different amount of money. The farther you get in the game, he asks for more. And yeah, I'm not sure why he's there. I guess the more I play it and the more I mess around with it, then maybe I'll figure it out, but I had no idea what was going on. You then have the expositioner, so he's the guy who tells you the whole story. If you kill him, then you'll get the bloody ring, which gives you a little stat boost. And if you listen to his whole story, then he gives you the Band of Hope. This is the more useful item, just because it'll resurrect you from the dead. It kind of acts like a Phoenix Down. It's just a one-use item, though. And, oh yeah, you'll also run into, you'll run into this thing called What Is This Spot, and these are usually like major events in the game. You'll get a chance to get more skills. You'll also encounter the Demon Lord. First you fight the Golem, and then you fight the Demon Lord. So this is an RPG, meaning that there are a lot of weapons and armor in the game, and there are also a lot of spells. You can kind of experiment with the different abilities to see which ones work best for you. You'll also have some class-specific ones as well, so that's kind of fun. I think the highest level you can get is 5. I've never gotten higher than 5 when I've played this. So, yeah, I'm guessing once you hit level 5, you're maxed out. You can't grind for levels in this game. So, yeah, once you hit 5, then you're pretty much as strong as you're ever going to be. I do like the gameplay a lot. It's pretty simple, and it reminds me of playing the first Dragon Quest. Playing this game kind of made me want to go back and play Dragon Quest and also FTL. You know, like other roguelikes, this can be kind of frustrating, so don't get too upset if you die. It's just all a learning experience, and try to do better the next time. Dream Warrior's art style is very much inspired by Dragon Quest. It mimics it pretty well. The, grass, the mountains, the trees, the desert, and also the swamps, they all look similar to what Dragon Quest looked like. Even the monsters, in some ways, look a little bit like Dragon Quest monsters. Not, in my opinion, as good or as cartoonish as the Dragon Quest monsters looked, but they look pretty close to it. The map itself is laid out a lot like FTL. The combat is more like Dragon Quest, for both better and worse. It does mimic the NES game very much. But the way you move through the map is It's one of the better and also one of the worst things in this game, because when you look at FTL, they had the space map, and then they had sort of, how do I want to put this? They had a map for like the system that you were in, so you can jump from star to star, and then they had sort of a much larger one where you were looking at sort of the galaxy or a specific area in space that you had to move through. Dream Warrior simplifies that down to just 3 paths, and well, I like it. It does make the game much shorter because you don't have the same kind of exploration that you would have in FTL. It's not a bad thing, but it is kind of it does make the game much shorter than it probably could be. Some of the graphics in Dream Warrior are a little bit lacking, especially once you get into a battle scene. The spells don't have any special graphics to them, so if you cast fire, you don't see a fire, or if you cast ice, you don't see anything else. You just have the same attack animation that's used for a regular attack. This isn't too different from the early Dragon Quest games, so at least the developer stuck with that when he was making this, because it very much is imitating the first Dragon Quest. I think the monsters do look good. The art style is close enough to Dragon Quest to be familiar, but still remains its own thing, so it still looks unique. Personally, I really love the 8-bit RPGs, so I think the fact that this was inspired by that art style is really great. I do love the way this game looks. Some of the graphics, they could be better, but at the same time, this game is doing exactly what it was set out to do. Make a roguelite that is using a turn-based style for combat, and also mimicking Dragon Quest in as many ways as it can. It works really great. I have a lot of just nostalgia for this time period that the game is imitating. I think it looks really good, especially just for a short RPG like this. It's a lot of fun. Dream Warrior is a short but fun RPG. You can beat the game in about 30 minutes or so, assuming that you're not stopping every so often to take notes on this like I did. And there are several classes to choose from, a bunch of achievements to unlock. It's pretty awesome. There's a lot of replay value to it. The graphics are similar to Dragon Quest. Some of the gameplay is also similar to Dragon Quest. And then you also have a little bit of faster than light thrown in there as well. So it's got a fun story. It's easy to play. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do in this, at least by trying the different classes out. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.